Thank you very much for this very complex study. Any questions? There must be some. Yeah.
Well, I'm very impressed how detailed you could verify the logical hypothesis that connectivity should be important for the Romans. This is how this, in every detail, seems to be a coherent system. This was for me very evident or impressive. One thing was for me also very impressive. That was the fundamental change between the Roman time system and the, I think, 16th century system. Yes. of Hispania, and this is a shock. It's a shock for the theory of longue durée in some sense, because as I remind, Medina del Campo, in the middle of the Mesa, is one of the key sites of Mediterranean and grain handel, commerce, long distance commerce, not only the movement of real commodities, but also the speculation with partners in the Orient and so on. And so these speculants settled in a city which was some 100 years earlier total out of connectivity. This is a real fundamental change.
Yes, it was interesting because we were analyzing the evolution from in all Hispania from Roman times until the 19th century, and it was interesting because obviously in the biggest change came here in the 16th, because before that, in the medieval times, we have the Muslims in the south and the Christians in the north, and both of them maintained the same roots and the same connections like from Roman times, even the only point was Merida Augusta. It was the only point that it was going down even in medieval times, because in the south the Muslims were more interested in Granada and in Cordoba, in other places, no? But the biggest change came with the 16th century, because in Spain we had all of the monarchies, which all of them were interested in connecting the center. At the beginning was Toledo, and then was Madrid, and they changed completely the philosophy of the transport connections. All of them must to go from Madrid to every place in Spain, and it was a very centralized they were all of them were a very centralized monarchies, and all of them were interested in connecting Madrid with the rest, no, in a radial way. And it was totally different from what Romans did. The Romans did not connect the center. They were more interested in the periphery and the rivers and the river valleys. And for that reason was interesting to find that, no? Because from the 16th century until now, the most well-connected place in Spain is Madrid, no? And this is for that reason. No? in fact it's a political reason, it's not economical or it's not.
But is this sure that it's political? Because it's the hen and the egg problem, of course. But of course, from a certain point of time, first Valladolid and then Toledo and Madrid were the capitals. But perhaps there's also a pre-political phase of central creation of centrality, and I have in my mind I'm not sure that before Carlos I there was a phase in Spanish history when it was not so monarchic, but with strong something like in republican cities more or less, which a lot of economic freedom. Valencia, but for example, perhaps also Medina del Campo, and perhaps this is also a factor that attracted in a secondary effect political centrality.
Yes, it could be. I really don't know more, but it's a thing that to take into account, of course, and to think about, no. But yes, it's interesting. It's sometimes it's thinking. It's interesting to think if what comes first, if the roads or the interest in different areas, no? So yes, it could be yes. Thank you.
I have a question concerning the different ways of transport. You said that about the open sea, the river and the streets and so on. How do you actually model that? So how do you weigh, for instance, inland rivers in comparison to roads, and what influence has that in your model? Is this twice or three times as long, as difficult, as complicated, and how you
yes, the idea of, yes, the idea is we have one constant values, or we have yes, we have values for each kilometer for each of the kinds of transport. The idea is when you put all of them together, so, is the system who choose the most economical or the cheapest route between each point. It can be obviously you have to put inside the GIS, in that case, all of the roads. Then you have to put all of the navigable rivers and the sea connections. No, when you put all of this together and you say, okay, if you want to move by land, it costs that price. If you want to move by river, you have this price, river upstream and downstream. And if you have, if you want to move by sea, you have that other price. So, and then you can ask if you want the quicker. You put also the cost and the speed for each mean of transport, no? And then you can ask the system for the quickest route or the cheaper one.
But how do you define the relations? How do you set the constants? So is an upstream river always 3 times
yes
as long or as quick as a road? So how you need?
It was one of the most difficult part of the PhD, because obviously this is the base of the analysis. If you do that wrong, it has no sense, because this is the idea. This part I did this part with my PhD director in that because he has been working with that a lot, and we took a lot of historical information about this. There are some sources, there are not a lot, but there are some sources that explain the cost of moving some things from one place to another. There is Cicero is one of them that explain how much costs to move one thing from one place to another, how many kilometers they move, and how much it was to move that. And then we have list of prices like the Diocletian edict, and we took a lot of information from that places. And for that reason, when I showed well, I show you the list of the comparison between my values and other values that made other people, to show that even there are some differences. All of them are very similar. No? The idea of if C is 1, river must be between 3 and 6, and Bailan is 40 or 50, because this is the difference that we can find looking at this information. No? I don't know if I explain it, but yes, the idea was that there were some gaps, and especially with the speed of travel in rivers. And then we took some information, some ethnographical information from other periods, especially in medieval times, that we have information too about how they spent to move in the rivers, and yes, we took from that.
I was not sure at some points how you establish causal relationships in your claims. So, for example, you say the stronger connected a place is, the more important it is. Is this a causal relationship that you actually extract from your model, or is it some statement that you put in your model already as a starting thing? And and you looked at sources, and sometimes were there some causal relationships already? For example, did Cicero say, yeah, we didn't bring the goods further north because it was just too expensive? And could you verify this, or could you reject this, or so? And how could you rule out that you actually get some results that you implicitly just put in the model yourself?
So there were two questions, I understand. So the idea of the most connected places were important. I think this was a premise before the project. The idea of that all of the cities, the idea was that you don't spend money for building infrastructures in a place that you are not, that it's not interesting for something, for a political or economical or social reasons. So when a city is growing, they need more things, and it's normal that they build more infrastructures. I think this was the idea before the project. I think that is strange, but it can happen that in some cases it doesn't, that they don't follow these rules, but the normal thing for us was to think about that, that the most important cities were more connected. And about the cost, I don't know if I understood well the question, but the idea was to create some patterns or some areas of distribution, and to check if then try to check if the archaeological remains or the archaeological pottery follow these kind of areas. And it's interesting to find that both are the same, but it's also interesting to find some differences, no? Because it means that for some reasons someone is moving things for losing money in that case, no? And I think both cases are interesting, no? To know, and to then the thing is to think why, because maybe it could be possible that this model doesn't work, but it can be possible that for some reason it wasn't important to win money with these transactions. So I don't know if I'm explaining or.
No, that's fine.
I have also a question. Except from the costs, did you also take into account other parameters, for example, quality? So, for example, in Roman periods you have paved roads, but they have good quality, maybe a hierarchy of number one and better and worse roads. So, did you take
Yes, no. The thing with this project is that it's only made by me. In that case, it's only one person, and it's difficult to build everything. Because there are some things that they need to be done to make this project more consistent. One of them, maybe it's not the quality, but it's the. I have to take into account that I'm not. Is the some kind of sorry, I don't have the word in English, but the dependent.
Yes.
Is one thing that I don't take into account now. And now I have one value for land, and it's not, and I have to take into account dependent, because it's not the same to cross the Alps than go in the middle of France, or I don't know. Maybe I can take these two into account, the quality of the roads. The problem is that we don't have a lot of information of all of the roads in the empire, no? And it could be difficult to model this in a very big scale, no? Yeah. In a scale like the Northeast, that I have a lot of information because it was my small PhD. I don't know this, but it was a previous work. I have a lot of information and I could say something, no? But maybe in a European scale it could be difficult. But there are some things that they have to be done to make this project stronger, no? In that sense.
Okay. More questions? Maybe during the refreshments. So thank you very much again.
Thank you.